So yeah, as I mentioned, I'm based out in the UK, and a lot of our views are international. Around Europe, around Asia, Nigeria, Africa, and some in North America. So we always like to ask our guests, where you were sort of born and raised, so that we can get a geographic understanding of where you started off.
All right. I was born in Oklahoma City.
Okay.
I was raised in Oklahoma. My grandparents had a little cabin off the lake, Lake Eufaula. So I spent my summers and all my vacations, and that was my safe place, and where I went to have fun, swim, ride my four-wheeler, do all that. And then I lived in Oklahoma City and just went to, elementary, middle school, and high school here. And it wasn't until a couple of years before we got our deal that I moved out to the East Coast. I've lived on both coasts, but I was born and raised, I'm an Okie. I was born in Okie.
Okay. Are you a Sooner? A Sooner?
I love the Sooners.
Yeah. Okay. I had a very close friend who was from Oklahoma, and introduced me to Oklahoma's the Sooners. So yeah, that's how I knew about it.
That's the only time I watch football. I mean, I love football. Don't get me wrong, but I never Sooners game. And my neighbor's got flags on his car and up in the car for the game. So there's some hardcore Sooner fans here.
Yeah.
They went through some things this year, but it'll be next year.
Okay. And so when you grew up, what was it that you were really interested in and passionate about as a kid?
Of course, what I was passionate about was music. That was just another escape for me. There was some how can I say? There was a little turmoil, a little turbulence going on when I was young. A couple of stepdads, and one of them was quite. Can I ask? I know we're pre-recording this, but I don't know if you want to get into like the fun stuff, or if you want me to get into the real stuff, or a little of both.
It's as you go. I mean, I don't hold anything back. So as you go, it's pretty much like your story, how you got into music. Yeah, your story. So
okay.
Yeah.
So I was a chubby little kid. I played football myself.
Okay.
And music, though, was my love. I mean, from the time I was little, I'm singing all the little, theme songs for television shows and singing commercials. And I was just, anytime I heard a melody, I wanted to do something with it. Yeah. And so I was just really infatuated with music. And again, to use those words, it was my safe place.
Okay.
I'd throw headphones on and it would just take me to where I wanted to go and be, because I didn't know a lot of kids moving around. It wasn't until high school that I stayed in one spot for a long time. Even through junior high and high school, I'm living in one place for a year and a half or two, and then moving to another place, so I just kind of bounced around. So I always just put myself in my music. And that's, I guess, in the 7th grade, we met Mr. Calvin at Webster Middle School. And I tried out to be in the chorus because it was supposed to be only 8th graders, and I was a 7th grader.
Yeah.
So he tried me out. My mother was up there, and he came up to me, and then he looked at my mom. He grabbed my hand and said, "This kid is a superstar."
Wow.
And I'll never forget it. He was like, "This kid is a superstar." He's like, "You're going to be a superstar." I swear that said to me. And I'm not saying that like, wow, I was just that talented back then. That's not what I mean. What I mean is, he was a great teacher, for one. 2, he put confidence in me that I didn't have.
Wow.
So really 7th grade, when I can't make that up. That's the truth. When I met Mr. Kelly in middle school, and he started, this guy, he was the director of the choir.
Yeah.
We would do songs together like Ebony and Ivory for like shows that they put on at school. And usually the teacher didn't do duets, so he was very dramatic guy. Great singer, and he pushed me in a direction that made me want to chase that dream.
Well, what were you listening to back in those early days? Who would you say you were listening to that was out?
Very eclectic. Okay, so I was listening to Al Green. I was listening to I was listening to Journey.
Wow.
Earth, Wind and Fire. My favorite group of all times is the Commodores. And my favorite one of my favorite vocalists from a band is Lionel Richie. He's a genius, man, and he writes songs. Huge Donny Hathaway fan. People, I love people that put their passion and their spirit into their music. Anybody can just sing riffs and, you know, sing a song and not really focus on the words and what you're saying. But if an artist could make me believe every word that they're saying, then I was hooked. So that's what I tried to do, is study people. I loved ballads and slower songs. Of course, Michael Jackson and Prince. By the time I was so 5th grade, I'm listening to Kiss. A bunch of friends listening to Kiss. So I'm listening to this. I was made for loving you, baby. Just rock. You know what I'm saying? And then I get into junior high and I start wanting to listen. I mean, of course, I listened to Michael Jackson, but Michael, Prince, like, it was all over the place.
Yeah.
There was even some country in there.
Yeah, and I was going to ask about that, because I know Oklahoma is in the South. Was country music not an influence?
Well, okay, yes, in a spiritual way, because when I went to see my grandparents in the summers and on vacations, it was in church, and usually the hymns, because I was raised Church of Christ, and so we didn't use instruments in the churches. It was just all about your vocals, which is another helped me to focus on vocals. But it was very bluegrass, like old school country. So in fact, if I liked any country at all, it was like the way back kind.
Wow. Okay. And so when you get into middle school and you get in, did you get confidence by singing with your choir teacher?
I started going to contests. You know, junior highs and high schools, the choruses and the bands have contests certain times a year where they battle all the other bands in the state, and then, you know, vocalists and just musicians and stuff. And so he started taking me and the chorus to like every contest there was, like state contests is what they were. And I won some of those contests. And, you know, you rate from a 1 to a 4, I think, and I got a 1. I got a 1 every time, honestly.
Wow.
And I would learn Italian songs. I would learn old black spirituals, like just really passionate kind of stuff. Yeah. And so I poured myself into that. And when I started winning some of these contests that I would have never entered if not for Mr. Calvin, I probably would have never had that opportunity. But to get a perfect score started making me think, you know, I'm insecure in a lot of areas. But by the time I was 12, 13 years old, I thought I had something. I'm like, if I have anything, it's vocals. So that became my obsession. So then when it came to vocals, I mean, once again, I'm leaving a few people out. Freddie Jackson, man. Rock With Me Tonight, like Jackson, Luther, just crooners, Jeffrey Osborne. I don't know them.
Yeah, Jeffrey, James Ingram, those kinds of,
The Manhattans, love the Manhattans. Those dudes that can really sing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, but you're saying that by the time you became a teenager, you started to recognize, okay, actually, I do have something in here. Did you ever think about actually making a career of it, or was it just good, like a hobby while in school?
Early on, what my plan was, because I was taking music theory classes. I took as many classes that were related to music as I could. I was in band and chorus and another like music theory class at one time, which was just too much. Yeah. But what's the question again? I forgot.
No, when you actually thought that actually I'm actually good, I'm winning contests, I'm getting good scores, I could make a career out of this. Was that ever the case?
Yes. Well, but I wanted to go to college. Okay. I wanted to do opera music. That's really what I started, you know, and, you know, I didn't know, I had confidence, but I thought if that didn't work, maybe a music teacher. I knew it was going to be something that had to do with music.
Okay.
So I'll say that. And it wasn't until my first year of high school when I walked up and met one of the other guys that was in my band, who was a musician as well. There was a talent show coming up. So we kind of hit it off, and instead of going against each other, we teamed up, put a couple other guys in the group. Now, when I came from Webster Junior High, I knew Kevin. So Kevin was in the group. We went on to high school together, and all four of us went to high school together.
Okay.
So, yeah. And so from the time we did our first talent show, that's when I had the bug, and I was like, I'm never going to want to do anything else but this again, because I wasn't, the crowd, the whole school went nuts, just like it was, and all we were doing was singing that old Levi's song, you know, throw on some Levi's jackets and some shades and feet and so the harmonies and the vocals, we started going to other high schools and doing talent shows. And actually, before we started doing them, I was doing them because we hadn't become an official group. We just got together to sing at a talent show. But we were still doing our own things. And I couldn't get enough of it. Basically, I felt like that was my time to shine. I was invisible because I was a really big kid. People don't know I weighed close to 400 pounds in my junior year of high school.
Wow.
When they skinny guy in the group, skinny lead vocalist in this group, in here, I was this chubby kid who was insecure. I'm confident in my music and my voice, but as far as relationships and lots of friends and, you know, that kind of stuff, I was kind of to myself, except the other guys once we got together. And it was because what we had in common was the music. So any opportunity during school year, summer, arts festivals, if I could get in a show and sing, and it's hard to explain. It wasn't because it was vain to me. It was like, I want people to like really flip out on my vocals. It was how I felt when I just let it out. When you're up there in the element and listening to the music, whether it be a band or background track, you're in another world. And it's all about the lyrics and what you're doing at that time. And just still to this day, I'm 52 years old and I still write music, and there's nothing like writing and recording and singing and then listening to your ideas that were in your head back. So I'd say from high school, that's when I knew I was going to try. I didn't know I was going to be a star, but I knew I was sure going to give it my best shot.
I mean, but by that time when you guys, you know, because it is. I remember speaking to Joe Little from the Rude Boys, and I said, you know, you'd always wanted to be a solo artist, and then you get the opportunity to join a group that seems like a very different type of direction to take. Were you always looking to go solo, and then the opportunity with the other three to form a group come about, or did you feel as if actually the way I feel about myself, confidence, being part of a group actually can be a way of protecting myself? What was your decision making then?
I was trying to do a lot of things on my own, but when we graduated high school, actually the year we graduated, our junior year, we met Kool and the Gang. So we sang for them. We still, by then, we're out of high school, so we're not together every day. Or wait a minute, I just said junior high. No, let me get this straight. Okay, sorry. My junior year of high school, we met Kool and the Gang.
Wow.
They took our numbers down. They started calling us. They said they wanted to make. And so for the last 2 years of high school, they would fly us to New York, pay for the flights, put us up, and record. And they were, you know, they met with our parents. Our parents were like, they need to be in school. They're chasing some kind of dream that ain't going to happen. And these guys said, if you just let us work with them, it is going to happen. Something is going to happen with these guys. And so they just said, let them finish high school and then they can do what they want. So Kevin was going to college and kind of trying to do his own thing. So I'm still going out and doing some things on my own as well. But when we moved together, when Adele from Kool and the Gang, just the whole group asked us to move up there, that's when I knew it was going to be a group thing. But it's a funny thing you mentioned in solo. I actually one of the last times that I did something on my own was when the management company flew me out. So they flew me out and they told me that it was to redo some vocals, and that's not what it was. What it was they had set up an appointment with Andre Harrell. Do you know who Andre Harrell is?
Oh yeah, Mr. Uptown, yes.
Uptown, I mean, Jodeci,
Yeah,
Mary.
yeah.
So, and that's when they were hot. That's when all those groups had records out. And I was a huge fan of Jodeci.
Yeah.
So I went and I met with this guy, and he said, I don't want to sign the group. I want to sign you. And I said, I don't want to do it without my guys. He said, well, then they can be on the record, but it's going to be your face on the front of the record. He wanted to change my name to Brian Parks, which I think is kind of, I mean, he's pretty legendary now, man. You know, I mean, he picked some great ones, and he built and put together some great ones, but I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it. At that time, I had become such a part of this group of guys that I had known from junior high up that I couldn't do it. I didn't want to do it. And I wasn't disappointed. I was scared, because then I had to wonder if we were going to all do it. You know, were we going to actually make it, or did I make a bad decision? In my heart, I don't think I did. I think I made the right decision.
So was this more so because did the group become a family, and you didn't want to turn your back on the family, because a lot of people would give their right arm to say, okay, guys, you know, I'll make it big, and then I'll feature you guys and help you guys later on. But you were really, especially with the pressure of being in New York and you know, Uptown Records, which, as you said, had Guy, had Heavy D and the Boys, had Mary, you know, they, you know, Photo MC, they had.
I'm from Oklahoma, so being up there in the city,
yeah,
in Andre Harrell's office and singing in his office, he was asking me to sing stuff. He said, I want you to be the next Al B. I'm not making this up. And I'm just wigging out. I'm freaking out. And I said, I don't know. Can I think about it? And it was because I was scared to death. And it was family. My heart just could not make that choice. I just couldn't do it. And the reason is, when I was young, I had some really kind of, I can't find my words right now. My home life was kind of crazy, except when I was with my grandparents, who were very safe people. Awesome grandmother, awesome grandfather. But because my father was killed when I was 2. So raised by my mother, who was married 3 times by the time I was 13. So I went through a couple of stepdads. I'm not trying to badmouth anyone. I'm just saying I was a kid who was dealing with a lot of stuff that he shouldn't have had to deal with at that age. Yeah. And so when I became friends with these guys, that was my family. You know.
When you got back from New York and so, well, actually, I think before you told them, what was the reaction from, you know, Kool and the gang? I mean, they've pretty much set you up for this deal, and you sort of said no. How did they feel like you let them down?
No, they did. I feel like I let them down?
No, did they feel let down by the fact that they set this thing up for you, and you said no?
They were angry for a little while.
Yeah.
They were, but I mean, the cool thing was I think they had to admire that decision, because it wasn't an easy decision to make. And they also knew that if we were that loyal to one another, we were going to stay together and not be one of these groups that just pop off and split up. And you know what I'm saying? So there was good things about it, but they were angry for a little while. You know, sorry.
No, how about the guys, when you told them what happened, how did they take it?
Did I even tell them right away? I think it took me a few weeks to even I was scared to even tell them about it. I don't know why, but I didn't ever want to say or do anything that would hurt someone's feelings or make them angry at me, or give them. I wanted people to like me, because I was this big chubby kid in school that didn't have a lot of friends. So I was afraid to make decisions that would cause friction. You know?
Yeah. Thanks for watching. Please remember to subscribe to the channel, but most importantly, to press the notification bell so that you can be notified when we do have a new interview. Loads to come, but thanks a lot for watching.
You know.